You're listening to the Cars of Carlisle Network, podcast episode number 142, featuring Jon Rose, proprietor of Rose Detailing and Paint Protection. This is your podcast. Together, it's all about car community, car culture.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today, join us as we speak with Jon Rose, the founder and owner of a Carlisle-based automotive appearance and protection enhancing business. In this episode, Jon shares anecdotes about head-turning cars his team has worked on. Listen in for excellent DIY pro tips from Jon on how to enhance the detailing of your own vehicle fleet. It's time to learn more about Jon's shop and the incredible work his crew provides to discerning car owners. So, let's get revved up.
Hello and welcome back, Cubers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I am your trusted host, Darren. As always, we are grateful to have you back with us again this week. In a few minutes, we'll be speaking with Jon Rose, a gentleman who can make your car look beyond amazing. And when we come back, I'll ask this week's trivia question and take you to the phone interview with Jon. We'll be back in 60 seconds after this promotional consideration.
In the market for a Macan, Cayenne, 718, or 911? Porsche Mechanicsburg will match you with the perfect vehicle from their extensive inventory of pre-owned and new models. When it comes to service on these magnificent machines, their record of quality workmanship is unmatched, with a staff of mechanics whose prowess in all facets of Porsche engineering is world-class. These are all time-tested trademarks that have been part of the Faulkner Auto Group since 1932. 2021 will witness an expansion of their sales and service excellence with the now completed new state-of-the-art Porsche Center. Located at 6625 Carlisle Pike, Porsche Mechanicsburg is the destination when ready to make that dream a reality, parked in your driveway.
And we are back. Let's open the trivia envelope and ask this week's question. As you'll hear Jon talk about a memory from his middle school years, he mentions being captivated by a Ferrari 308. Thus, in order to pay homage to that Italian beauty, here is this week's trivia question. What is the range of production years that Ferrari manufactured the mid-engine V8-powered 308 GTB, that was the Berlinetta, and the 308 GTS with the target top? That answer awaits at the end of this episode. Well, it's time to go to the studio phones and speak with Mr. Jon Rose. Good evening, Cubers. This is Darren, and I am on the phone tonight with Jon Rose. Jon, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking some time out of your evening.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, Darren.
Well, really appreciate it. So as you saw in the write-up, everybody, Jon is the owner of Rose Detailing and Paint Protection, and that is a company that he created and has been building over the decades. It is here in Carlisle. It's actually over by the Walnut Bottom area. And Jon, if you would, maybe just talk a little bit about who you are, introduce who you are and what you've been doing and how you've built your business over the many years. What year you got started and how did you get it in? How did you get it off the ground? What was the genesis?
Well, we started a long time ago, actually, and I was fortunate that I was fairly young when I started it because there wasn't a lot of pressure to make a lot of money right away because I didn't have family and so I'm from Carlisle, and I grew up here, went to high school here, and I ended up living in Colorado for a while, just kind of snowboarding, having fun there, and for a while I lived in Aspen, and Aspen doesn't have it's kind of hard to find a normal job in Aspen because it's just all service community, so I got a job detailing cars there, and that was a cool job because there's like a lot of money, obviously, in Aspen, and got to meet a lot of cool people there. And then I came came home just to visit my parents. I wasn't planning on moving back here. And while I was here, there was an existing detail shop that was going out of business, and I was kind of psyched to see all my old friends and be around my family. And I was like, I'm going to move back here and just start this up myself. So that was in 1997, and I was 25 years old. Fortunately, like a detail shop, you can start it without a whole ton of money, so it's very shoestring budget. Just kind of got it going. And at first, I was the only employee for probably like 6 months. Just you came to Rose Detailing, Jon Rose detailed your car, and it's nice that I was able to do that when I was young, like I said, because there wasn't a lot of pressure, like make a bunch of money right away. But I have learned a lot, about a lot more about detailing, because you need to know a lot more when you're the owner. But just about business, I ended up going back to college and getting a business degree because I wanted to be able to run this as good as I could. But it was just kind of a slow start, figuring out how to do it. I hired one guy. Rick was my first employee, and then it grew pretty quick from there. Because my prices weren't high enough, so it was easy to get a lot of customers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where it started. We've been doing it 23 years now, 24 years.
Congratulations. That's excellent. Well, have you always been a car guy, or would you say you've become a car guy? I mean, when you work on vehicles of all types, and some pretty amazing ones too, I've seen what's coming in and out of your shop. How would you define yourself?
Definitely. Yeah, always been a car guy. I had car posters on the walls when I was a kid. I remember coming home in middle school on the school bus and driving by the mall and looking at the mall, and there was a Ferrari 308 parked there.
Ooh.
Getting off the bus and just getting right back on my bike and riding right back to where we just were, because I had to see that car. Yeah, it's always kind of been that way. And that, growing up in Carlisle was a big car town. Like, with the car shows here, we call it the car show here locally, but Carlisle events. And there's always, at least through the summer and spring and fall, there's always these crazy cars driving around Carlisle. And I always went to them in high school, and don't tell Lance, but I'd always just jump the fence. I never paid till I was
I think he'll let you slide.
Yeah, so it's a good place to be in the car business.
Yes.
But yeah, when we started, we weren't working on that. In Aspen, I worked on a lot of high end stuff, and then when we moved here, it was just like it wasn't that great, and I didn't find the guys with money, and it was just a bunch of moms minivans that were super dirty, and it wasn't cars that you were excited about. For the most part, it kind of took a while to get that.
Right.
To get really good at it, get that reputation where people were trusting you with some of the better stuff. So
sure. What would be some of the most memorable vehicles? I mean, we may need to rewind all the way back to Aspen and the high end stuff, but what would be, say, 2 or 3 of the real standout vehicles that you just loved working on?
Well, the big one lately that I'm kind of impressed with getting is the several Ford GTs. I mean, that's a crazy car. Yeah. And we're used to seeing really, high end cars, but that one kind of stands alone. It's like it just doesn't even make sense. It's a whole different kind of car, and and not just the new Ford GT, even some of the older Ford GTs. I mean, they're so cool. Like we're so privileged, and there's not that many of them. So we're glad when we see them come in there. We're huge into Porsches. There's always Porsches at the shop, which I kind of take for granted now because people come in and they're like, Porsche here, you must be doing something right. I was like, there's always Porsches here, and I love them.
Well, I know on your website there's that silver metallic GT3. It's just gorgeous. Yeah, and we had the GT3 that came in
So a lot of times we like the cars, but since so much of our focus is on what we're doing to the paint, that's pretty much what we're doing there. Is that a lot of times it doesn't matter so much what the car is; it's how the paint is. So that if you have something that's painted super cool, like an acid green Porsche GT3, custom ordered from one of our customers, that looks like a highlighter.
Okay.
And I've seen it on the road. Like, it's not a mile away on the highway one time, and I was like, there it is. Like, that car is the brightest car in the world. Or just, other cars just have a ton of, like, flake and pearl in it. And so if you're going to sit there for hours and just stare at the paint, and, you're trying to get it as good as you can or get protected, whatever you're doing, a lot of times it's just the color that we care about more than anything else. If something comes in and it's a car we've already worked on, but it's hot color and we know that we can make it look like crazy, then that's as exciting as anything for us, because that's our main thing is how good can we make this paint look, and if it already looks cool when it comes in, it's just that much more fun for us.
Sure. Yeah, you're enhancing it. I can understand that.
I will bring up one other car though too. So just to go back to the Ferrari from my middle school days, we just had that car in. It was not the same car. We had a 328, not a 308.
Okay.
But the car from that same era came in, and we just got to work on it and ceramic coat it, and just totally changed the appearance of it. And it was so cool just to have this car, like, from my youth. Like, the car that kind of made me, like, think that cars were cool. And be able to transform it. Like, it was gorgeous when we were done. So
wow.
that was a fun one, too. So.
That's really neat. And I have more questions to ask you on some things, but I want to actually take that segue opportunity, because I would love for you to share with the listeners some of the products and services that Rose Detailing and Paint Protection works on. And I know that I can attest to the great work you guys do, because for my daily driver, I had the front end wrapped and protected. So maybe this would be a good chance to talk about the Expel product, the Optimum Pro, and some of the things that you are licensed and you're doing that not everybody can do.
Yeah, so we have really kind of transformed, the company over the years, and it's mostly just because of what we want to be doing. Like, so we're not really a traditional detail shop anymore. You can't come in and make an appointment to have your car cleaned. What we're focused on now is protecting vehicles. So we do it in two ways. One is paint protection film, and the other is ceramic coatings. They're two entirely different products. You can get one or you can get the other. A lot of people come in and get both of them. But paint protection film has been around for a while. We've been involved with it since 2003, when it was kind of in its infancy. Paint protection film is basically a clear sticker that you put over your paint, so that if you hit something, it doesn't give you chips. It just keeps your car from getting chips. And it's really gotten a lot better over the years. Like, when we got into it, the film wasn't that great. It kind of wasn't really that clear, and after a while, it kind of discolored, and it was hard to work with. And it wasn't very big. It wasn't big rolls of it, so you just kind of covered, like, the areas that were going to get damaged the most. But it's evolved. Now paint protection film is very clear. We work with a company called Expel that makes paint protection film, and I think they have a fantastic product. So how it works is you come in and it's all digital. We'll pull your car up in the computer. Expel's already designed patterns for it. We use a machine called a plotter that cuts it out so that we have like a sticker that's made just for your car. And it's hard to put on. So my guys have all gone through a bunch of training, but when you're done, your car still looks the same. That's the goal, is to, like, do a good job. You can't really tell you have paint protection film.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's a urethane product. If you hit a stone, the urethane will absorb the impact, and instead of getting the chip, the rock bounces off. So that's like our core business, and I'm into it. That's what I like doing. It's challenging, hard to do. It never gets easy. So from the perspective of work, like it's every day is like trying to figure it out a little bit. It's you never know it all. So, and then the other thing is ceramic coating, and that's kind of a newer technology. It's getting really hot right now. There's all kinds of companies, trying to jump on board the ceramic wagon. But another company we partner with is Optimum, which they make OxyCoat, and it's an entirely different product from Excel, but the ceramic in ceramic coating refers to the glaze. So if you took a high school pottery course, you made a vase, and then they fired that, and then you go back and you put a glaze on it. And that glaze has silica in it, and that it hardens up. You fire it up and it hardens it up, and that. So it's more about the glaze. The ceramic part has to do with the glaze you put on a ceramic product. So this coating has silica in it. So it's embedded in a resin, and you apply it by hand, and it bonds with the clear coat of the car and becomes the top layer of the paint, basically. So it's much harder than the paint underneath. So it's gonna have less chips, hydrophobic, which means that it beads up like crazy, makes your car super easy to clean, and it changes the appearance of it. It makes it much shinier. So.
Does it give it? I imagine it gives it almost a depth to the paint itself, correct?
Yeah, it's like if you got your car clear coated another time, it would have more depth to it. So it's doing that, and the prep work involved with it. We spend a lot of time polishing the paint. So even a brand new car has never been polished. They don't polish it at the factory. So we might spend another 6, 8, 10 hours on a brand new car polishing it up and getting the paint as good as it's going to get before we do that. So it makes a noticeable difference, and you can do a combination of both. You can put the paint protection film on. The paint protection film also has clear coat on it, which is kind of cool, because like the top layer of the film is actually paint, so it acts just the same as the rest of your car. So you can coat you can put the paint protection film on first, and then ceramic coat right over everything, and the whole car just gets super easy to take care of. It just looks great. So it's become, it's something that we kind of got into when it was in its infancy, but it's really popular now. Like, we're doing a lot of them. So.
No, that's impressive. What a couple questions for you? What are the kind of the prerequisites of the requirements? You would obviously, in order to do the ceramic coating, you were looking probably for a relatively new vehicle, right? Or one that has near flawless paint to begin with, correct?
Yeah, that's the majority of what's coming through is brand new cars. When you buy your car, the first stop should be a shop like ours, where you get it all done before you get the dings in it, rock chips. But it's not a necessity. We work on plenty of older vehicles too, and it's nicer if you can start with a clean vehicle that doesn't have damage to itself.
Makes sense. And the other follow-up question I had too is, respectively, between the paint protection process for, we'll just say, an average vehicle, whether it's a sedan or a sports coupe, as well as with the ceramic coating, how many hours would you say, and I know no two cars are alike, but on average, do you put into each of those processes?
Well, it varies a lot, kind of depending how big the car, how many little pieces of paint protection film we have to put on. So we did Escalade yesterday, and it had all kinds of little pieces in the bumper. It took a while to do. We did a new 911 Target today, which we can do all Porsches super fast because we do so many of them, but we wrapped almost the entire car in like 3 hours today.
Okay.
It was already prepped. We'd already polished it and stuff, but so yeah, it varies a lot. But the longest part of all of it is getting the car polished out. If you're going to do a ceramic coating, we really take our time on that. We'll pull an LED light up to each panel, use a couple different, the polishing process is going to be different for each car because, if it's more scratched up, you're going to have to start with something more aggressive. So it could vary. And, you might have two guys spending an entire day on a car that's kind of messed up just to get it polished, to get it ready to do it. So that's and then there's other cars too that are even like a thing that I'm into is working on like 10, 15, 20-year-old cars too that are like worth bringing back that they don't mind spending some money on, and we'll just it's a lot of times it's Porsche 911s because they don't lose their value. So guys will say, hey, this car isn't new anymore and I want it to look better. I bought this or I shared it or whatever. And we spend 3 or 4 days on it. Not all at once, but fix all the rock chips, and then when you're done, you put some film on it so they don't come back, and ceramic coat it, and it's that's kind of what my favorite thing is to do right now. Is
the revitalization.
The new ones are all the same. That there's different challenges to the older cars, and it's fun to. It's like a mini restoration,
Yeah. Well, it would be rewarding to see after 3 or 4 days, basically bringing it out of the ashes, and it looks like it's relatively brand new, even if it is like a 1985 or whale tail or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That's really cool. We're going to take a brief break. We'll be back in under 40 seconds.
Just a reminder to all you cubers, it's not a moment too soon to become a Cars of Carlisle subscriber and accelerate your experience. Leaving a 5-star rating on iTunes, posting a review, and sharing Cars of Carlisle with friends makes you an integral part of the crew. If you like what you hear, support the cause with a quick click of the PayPal button on the main page of our website, carsofcarlisle.com. So act now. Take a look around, and let's hit the fast lane together. Thank you.
And we are back in our phone interview with Jon Rose. Jon, tell us a little bit about the size of your current organization.
We're still pretty small. It's just there's 4 of us. There's Emily running the office, and Marcus and Mike and myself. And Mike have both been with me. They both left for a while, but they both started working for me when they were in high school. So, and they're in their 30s now. So
wow.
It's guys that were really good at detailing and have been able to bring those trades over and bring them into what we're doing now, which is great because you kind of need a couple different skill sets to do what we're doing, and so it's good that they knew all that, the basic stuff on paint and how you fix paint and polish it and buff it and all that. So good guys to have around, good guys to work with.
Yeah, that's good for you. Well, I know that when I stopped in the other day, you were working on one of your own personal vehicles, the Sprinter. How did that end up?
That thing is, I want to tell you about the Sprinter build. It's going to be a fun project we have going at the shop. I just bought a brand new Mercedes Sprinter 4x4 170 EXT. So it's the biggest Sprinter van you can buy, and it's ridiculous. It's huge.
It is. I was I was overwhelmed when I walked up to it.
Yeah. So it's going to be, I bought it through work. We're going to use it as a promotional vehicle. Hope get some attention, but the whole thing is just like, what is this huge, ridiculous vehicle? So, we've already done our work on the exterior because you can't even drive it till you get the film and the coating on. Put big tires and wheels on it. We're going to have ladders on the side, but we'll do it up with vinyl and make sure everyone knows it's about Rose detailing. But that's an unusual purchase. I mean, everyone's shooting to get a sports car to show off their shop, and I just got this thing that's as big as a house. But more bang for your buck for advertising.
Yes, it is. You've got square footage all over it. Well, I think too. Go ahead.
We'll use it for other things too. We'll be able to use for trade shows, and we do some car shows, so it will be handy to use that to work out of it.
Well, it'd be like a mobile shop, and that's probably a good time to talk a little bit about one of your passions, and that is cycling, and the fact that now you're coaching cycling, and it'll be a good command vehicle for that too, right?
Yeah, so that's a big part of the Sprinter purchase. That is going to be the home base for our when we go mountain biking. So my kids are into mountain biking. We started a mountain bike team. We're getting ready to start our 6th year. So it's middle school and high school kids from Carlisle and a couple of surrounding school districts, and it's a race team. So we have like 5 or 6 races, and we race against all these other school districts in Pennsylvania. So that's become a very big part of our lives. So,
John, is it downhill or cross country, or what discipline?
It's considered cross country racing.
Okay.
So all mountain bikes, and it's all dirt courses or grass. There's some dirt, some grass, and just how fast you can get through. It kind of varies by how old you are, but you're going to race 7 to 20 miles, and but it's big. It's big. It's the league's called Tickle, the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Cycling League. There's if anyone lives in Pennsylvania, you got kids. The most positive sport I've ever been involved with.
Good.
And it's a national league too. So if you're listening to this podcast in other states, you can look up NICA, N-I-C-A, the National Interscholastic Cycling Association or something.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun, and the Sprinter is going to be cool with that, because a lot of times when we go to the races, we end up camping out, just throw all the bikes in there, go out, make things easy on ourselves, and go ride.
Oh, that's cool. Good for you. Well, I'll be anxious to see the finished product whenever you get it. I saw it with its factory wheels and everything, but man, it's going to look really cool when you have it all decked out. I'll have to stop back and see it.
But it's a weird project for us because it's way different. But we're doing stuff we don't normally do. Like it's gutted right now, but we're putting insulation. Like whoever insulated a car before. So because we wanted to be able to have heat, so we go riding in the wintertime. When you get back, it's warm in there. And solar panels and wiring a bunch of 12-volt stuff in there. So it's a learning curve. Fun.
That's
nice
fun.
to have a shop big enough that you can fit it in, because it wouldn't have made it in my last shop. So.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you're going to have it kitted up just right. Fun.
Yeah.
Have there been other interesting cars that you've owned or do own currently, I should say?
I don't have. I have kind of a weird group of cars right now. I have a hard time getting rid of cars. Like I never want to sell them. I do. Obviously we can keep them looking good, and so I have cars still from I have a '99 4Runner that we still drive constantly, and an old 2004 Mini Cooper that are just like our runaround cars at the shop. And I was thinking about my kids are 14 and 16, and I don't think it's time to get anything too fast right now. They're about to start driving all our cars. They got their eyes picking out which one they're going to drive. So I daily drive. I got a Raptor that takes a month to drive. But I don't have anything crazy, and I think I'll wait a couple of years till I'm not worried about a teenager going out in one of them. So just remembering what I was like when I was 16.
Well, yeah. I get it. Well, I know that you like to give back and to be around other car people and car club membership, like local Porsche club, Corvette club, BMW club. I know that you've had events, and it's with the pandemic, it's curbed a lot of that. But maybe talk a little bit about what you do at those events and the fact that you give some DIY tips to folks so they can try things on their own vehicle when they get back home.
Yeah, so we moved into a new shop less than 2 years ago, and it's a lot nicer than where we were before. So it's one of the cool things about it is it's become a place where car clubs ask if they can have their meetings there. So they, a lot of times I just let them go about their business, and then I'll show them some of the stuff that we do, and but then I don't want to just promote my business the whole time. I'm like, if you have any detailing questions, so kind of the gist of that is that there's a lot of stuff that a detail shop can do that you can't do just because you don't have the right thing, but maybe you just need to buy some of the right chemicals. So, so the thing about detailing your car is the wash is way more important than what you think. We spend a ton of time cleaning the car. You want to start with the cleanest example you can. I think a lot of people just think you just buff everything off. You don't buff the dirt off. You don't buff the tar off. You just want to get the car down to good clean paint. So some of the chemicals that we use, there's a couple that I would never recommend anyone use at home, but degreaser is huge. We use a ton of degreaser in the wash, and you degrease your tires, you degrease your wheels, you degrease your wheel wells. It's all this stuff that degreaser is like, if you wipe your kitchen counters down, if you just did it with a sponge, like they're still going to be dirty, but if you spray like some degreaser or all-purpose cleaner first, they get clean. So the degreaser is the chemical, and it could just be like simple green, and whatever degreaser you get, you got to dilute it. Too strong to just like spray on your wheels and stuff. But so we degrease all that stuff, and generally, if you pressure wash it, it gets clean just from spraying a degreaser on it. But if you don't have a pressure washer, you can use a hose and just some brushes and stuff. But if your tires are always brown and they never get clean, degrease them and scrub them out a little bit. Bug removers. We have if you buy a bug and tar, that product's worthless because a bug is a protein-based thing. Tar is petroleum-based. Product cleaning is different, so you should have a specific bug remover and a specific tar remover. So there's cool tar removers now that are just plant-based. They've always been petroleum-based, but every car has tar on the side of it just from driving down the road. And a lot of times in our wash, we'll just soak it down with the product. Opticoat makes a great one. It's called tar. You just soak it and it kind of melts all the tar off, and then you can get it off right in the wash. Another huge one that I don't think many people know about is iron oxide removers. So if you're driving down the road and you're on your brakes, when you hit your brakes, it's two pieces of metal rubbing together and it makes brake dust. And brake dust is just little tiny pieces of metal, and your brakes get hot. So that brake dust floats up in the air, lands on your paint. It's hot, so it kind of melts into your paint because your paint's kind of like plastic. And then it rusts a little bit, and it just locks it in there. So you can try to clay it off, but there's a chemical that will take the rust off of there. And then when you wash the car, all that stuff comes out. And that's when we're talking about decontaminating the car, we're mostly talking about the iron oxides that are stuck on your car. It's not just from brakes. It can be from where you park. If you live in an industrial area, that stuff's just in the air. So iron oxide remover is cool. The brand that most people know is called Iron X. We use one called Barracks, but wash your car, get it clean, spray that on there, and it's kind of fun to do too because when you spray it on, when that chemical finds iron oxide, it turns purple. You can see if it's working. Your whole car turns purple. You can be like, oh, it's super contaminated. But so I don't think a lot of people know about it. It's a good wheel cleaner too because your wheels are mostly dirty from brake dust. So it smells bad, sulfur based, and it's super soapy, so it's kind of hard to get it off without a pressure washer. But that's a product that I would recommend everyone looking into, an iron oxide remover.
Okay, well, thank you. Great pro tips. I learned a lot just in the last 10 minutes about all of that. Most definitely.
And I think most people know this too, but your wheels, if you can't clean them with the same stuff you're cleaning the rest of your car with, because if you clean your wheels, all that brake dust gets on your mitts and your brushes and stuff, and then it just scratches your car. So you can either wash your whole car and use the same stuff and then do your wheels last, or just have a whole separate setup for doing your wheels. The brake dust will scratch your car if you do it the other direction.
Makes sense.
So,
Separate bucket, separate rags, everything. I think that keep it all separate.
yeah. Or else just do your wheels last and then wash everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go the other way, you're going to have problems. So
That makes sense. Wow, good information. Well, thank you. Well, I want to certainly help put the word out for anyone that, with listeners in 48 states and all around the Mid-Atlantic, but want to give you a chance to let everybody know how they can find more about Rose Detailing and Paint Protection, your website, Facebook page, your business address, anything that you want to share with the listeners, John. I'm going to give you the keys.
Sure. So yeah, we're located in Carlisle. We're near the Carlisle Hospital at 1531 Commerce Avenue. Our website's rosedetailing.com, and we're on social media at Rose Detailing, Facebook and Instagram. So you could find us at any of those spots.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show tonight. Certainly teaching me and our listeners more about how to care for the four-wheeled vehicles we all love, and there's so much more to it than just getting the garden hose out and rinsing it off. You've made that clear, and on top of that, whether people have a vehicle that, as you said, they've just gotten or have had for 20, 30 years and they want to bring it back to life, or if it's a brand new car off the lot and before they go enjoy it, track day or otherwise, they should look up your business and look to see what they can do to keep it looking great all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And we like to just, we like to do a lot of stuff in person too. If you got a car you care about, I want to look at it and talk to you about it too. So just come up with ideas with you.
Good. That consultation means a lot. It's more than just select from a menu online and call it in. I know that you will take the time to come out front and see what someone has and help them make the right decisions on what kind of package and what kind of strategy they want to go with. So that's great. On behalf of the entire team at Cars of Carlisle, we hope you enjoyed this week's show and our time spent with special guest Jon Rose of Rose Detailing and Paint Protection. A big thank you to John for being a friend of the Cars of Carlisle network. Keep up the fine work you do, John, helping to protect those beautiful cars all around the area. Now, let's downshift to this week's trivia answer. I had asked earlier in the show, what is the range of production years that Ferrari manufactured the V8-powered 308, both the GTB and the GTS? And the answer is the 308 GTB and the 308 GTS. Those production years with Ferrari were from 1975 to 1985. So that's when they came out of Maranello, Italy. What I found interesting, too, in doing some of that research is the fact that the 308 is very distinct. Its body was designed by Leonardo Fioravanti, who was with Pininfarina. And Mr. Fioravanti had been responsible for some of the Ferrari's most celebrated shapes that we know to this day, including the Berlinetta Boxer, the Dino, as well as the Daytona. So that is this week's trivia answer. Well, we've reached the end of the line, folks, and I want to thank you again for being a fan, for being a cuber, continuing to put the word out, helping support in any way possible, and just being part of this community. It's about the friends and the people, and the cars are a bonus along with that. So with that, I just want to remind you all, we can't wait to have you come back next week. Thanks for being a friend of the show, and until next week, it's all about car community and car culture. Drive well, be well, take care.